Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about something a little bit different than dirt late model racing or front wheel drive racing on dirt. Today I'm going to share my experience at Skip Barber Racing School, which I did back in June. I know that was a while back, but I'm just now getting around to making this video, and I had a great time. I went and did a 3-day school at Road Atlanta in the Formula 4 cars. This is a picture of the cars, and they were a blast to drive. By far the best thing I've driven, which isn't hard to beat. But while the neon's fun, this was just a whole nother level of something. So like I said, it was a 3-day school, and with this school they taught us basically the basics of racing, and then you can also go to a 2-day advanced school, which I plan on doing hopefully next year. But let's go ahead and get into the 3-day school. So starting off with day 1, we went into the day in the classroom, did some classroom sessions, and then we moved into a small group session. So they split the group up into a few different groups, and we each did a section of kind of their basic introduction to Skip Barber Racing School. The first part being a trail braking exercise, which is what my group started off with. So they basically set up some cones in a oval corner, just basically, for example, turns 1 and 2 at an oval track. So basically a big U-turn, and we were set up to hit the apex, which was one cone that was laid over. I don't have the best footage of this, but I have a little bit, and you can kind of see we just go full throttle all the way up until the braking zone. We brake, and then you just ease off the brake while getting onto the accelerator, get out of the corner. So we did that a few times. The next section was a understeer oversteer skid pad. So we were set up in a basically small roundabout. The back tire of the car had a plastic-ish wheel, and this was set up to induce understeer or oversteer depending on which way you're rotating, and it shifts the load, especially because they had it on a slant. So you go down and you can press and you'll get oversteer, or if you're driving up and it compresses, it pushes and you get understeer. That was that section. Again, I don't have the best footage, kind of the same clip, just shows both. But the last section was just a section. We went up to the shop, or the cover, kind of like this, a carport, where they had the Formula 4 cars sitting, and we just got to test the seating, get buckled in, learn the steering wheel and the pedals and all of that, just get situated with the cars and get our eyes on them. And then we went to lunch. After lunch, this is where we got our first chance to get behind the wheel of a Formula 4 car, but it really wasn't that much. As you can see from this video, we're just following a pace car around the track at very limited speed and just kind of cruising. It really wasn't that much, but it was still really cool to get to experience what it was going to be like driving these cars faster. So that was pretty much day 1. So let's go ahead and get into day 2. So in day 2, we started off again in classroom sessions. That was mostly what our beginnings of the day were, or whenever we had breaks after lunch, just to let food settle and stuff. But we did get some on-track activity early that morning, getting to ride around with our instructors in SUVs and minivans. Nothing special. The main purpose of this day was to get us used to driving at faster and faster speeds. So whenever we did get in the cars, because that's what this video is focusing on, the Formula 4 cars, and my journey, the start of my journey into road course racing, which I would like to do in the future alongside the neon or any dirt track racing. I really like road course racing. I'm trying to get more into it, so that's why I went to this course. Didn't mention that earlier. The purpose was to just slowly get us faster and faster. So they start us off, I think, at 4,400 RPM, and they just did small increments by maybe 100 or 200 as we just went along the day. And these are called stop box sessions. So as you're driving around, you start on the back straight, and if you don't know what Road Atlanta looks like, there's a really long back straight that goes into a hard braking area called turn 10A and 10B, or the chicane. go up a hill and then down the hill to the front stretch. The front stretch is pretty small compared to the size or length of the back stretch, so they had to stop on the back stretch. They had some cones set up. You stop at the cones and they give you any feedback, and you just kind of keep doing that until your session's up. Then the other group gets in the cars, they do their sessions, and whenever they're doing their sessions, you really get to see what they're doing, because you go with an instructor to certain parts of the track and you get to see how they're taking the corners and they're braking and they're doing their stuff, so you can compare that to how you felt in the car, and it all just kind of builds up on each other, which is really great, because you'd watch someone, how they take a corner. Oh yeah, I really wasn't taking it like that, and I see where they look a little bit faster than probably what I felt, so I can adjust that for next time. So the course is really set up great to learn from others and learn from yourself also, and from the instructors. So the second day was just stop box sessions. You don't get to do any side-by-side or any passing with any other people, but you do get to slowly increase your speed and learn the cars, which is a really smart thing, because my first time in the Neon at Dixie, obviously I crashed this year, and that was because I'm just not blaming it, I blame it on myself. But we didn't have any hot laps. First time on the track. There was oil, my first time dealing with oil. I hit the oil, way overcorrected, which the understeer and oversteer section of the course, I really learned from Dixie. I learned from Dixie to that course, where in my second race, it wasn't going to be an issue. I just think that was cool that first race, from a few weeks, I oversteered, hit the wall. In Skip Barber, we had a oversteer section where you just gotta slowly correct the wheel, because whenever I was at Dixie, I turned a lot towards the wall, which stupid. And then at Skip Barber, we learned that. So this course really also helped me on the dirt track, even though it's meant for road course racing. It was just a great school in general. I felt a whole lot more comfortable at Dixie the second time around. And that was after, it was 2 weeks after Skip Barber, I think. I did my second race at Dixie this year, where we're just down on power now. But I felt very comfortable in the car, minus the power and potential suspension issues. We'll get into that in another video. So day 2, stop box sessions, classroom, riding along with instructors and cars. So now we'll go ahead and get into day 3. In day 3, this is by far the best day of the course. It's also the saddest, because you know that it's over after the last session, and the last session is where you get to go full throttle. But before that, they had some really cool stop box session ideas for us, and they gave us feedback. We went into the course being able to really kind of push these cars a whole lot more than we did the first day. We also did a drive along with our instructor, so we rode in just small SUVs, instructor was in the passenger seat. We kind of talked them through how we were going to go through the lap. Before any sort of racing went on that day in the race cars, we did that in the SUVs with the instructors. And whenever we finally got in the cars, we were really able to kind of open them up a lot more than we were the first day. And we did a stop box session, which included a passing zone. So set up going down the hill into turn 10A, which is the first part of the chicane. They had some cones set up. As you can see on the left side of the car, there's a line of cones. You stay to the right of those. You go down, and as soon as you get towards the cones, there's some cones set up down there, kind of like the stop box, except for this time you go around them. You don't go through them, because that's supposed to simulate a car. So you go around these cones, and then you get to go into the chicane using a different line. But you still got to carry pretty much the same amount of speed, hit the apex, and get out with speed and get up over the hill and down towards the front straight. My biggest thing with this was I was ducking out way too late from the cones that were set up here. I was getting real close, ducking out and then braking, whereas they really just wanted us to kind of get out a little bit earlier and then brake, whereas I was braking and trying to move out at the same time. My other thing that they told me about was in turn 5, to attack the corner a little bit differently to get power earlier and harder, which I did end up implementing and it helped. So we did our practice sessions, or the stop box sessions, and then after that we moved into a practice session with practice starts. So basically hot laps, but before that we did practice starts. This was one of the coolest parts of the event, minus the full throttle, unlimited last session we did. Here we were side by side with people. We got to do practice starts. So you're getting up to speed, you're going up through the gears on the front straight. We didn't do a whole lap. We just went to turn 1, and going into turn 1 we all slowed up, so that way there was no chance of an accident or anything. So really good to test getting practice starts. If you look in the practice start session where I'm on the front row, the car on the inside was the control car. We were told to keep it at a certain RPM, so that's what I was doing. I was keeping it more steady, and he was slowly accelerating before we got to the zone, so he had already pulled out. I just kept it at the same pace. Looking back, what I would have done differently is, we're at a racing school, it's a good time to learn side-by-side staying, so I should have accelerated and just kind of kept beside the car. Even though in a real race, there could be a possibility of a starting violation because he was kind of accelerating before the acceleration zone, which we were told was green flag drops. There was no restart zone like you see in NASCAR or any other sort of motorsport. It was green flag drops, then you go. So in reality, I should have just kept beside him, and it would have made for a greater video, more fun, more experience to learn from. But we got what we got. Still very enjoyable getting to go through the chicane seeing a car beside you, even under pace lap speed. But after the practice starts, we got to go into a hot lap session. So pretty much open practice like we have in the Neon. Before the race, we just get to go out. Passing was allowed in certain areas of the track freely. Other than that, if you were going to pass, the person in front had to wave you over, like point over. As you can see here, going into turn 3, you can see I completely mess up my line. I was staring at my mirror and I saw Enrique, the guy behind me, he was closing in super fast and was on my tail. So I'm looking at the mirror and I completely messed up my turn 3 line, which slowed me up even more. So whenever we got down to turn 5, he was faster than me. I just go ahead and point him over, let him pass, and continue on with my session. So we had our first practice session with passing and all of that. We finally go into our last session, which is a sad one because you know it's the end, but it's also the best because, as I've mentioned, we didn't really have a limiter. They told us the RPM, but it was pretty much just the top of the power band, and we were able to go. Still same passing rules as the first session, but we were spaced out a little bit more because we came from pit lane instead of just from behind the pace car doing our practice starts. So really great experience. I'm probably just going to let some of this play unfiltered, raw audio, and just let you guys see a lap. The last lap I think was my fastest. I really pushed it going into turn 10A and 10B. I tried to attack corners a little bit harder because I was finally getting real comfortable in the car, and it showed. The instructors actually said that was the last few laps was probably your best part of the whole weekend, which I think it should be for everyone. You've had all this time now in the car and you can just go full out now. So your lines, everything is up to a race pace. I mean, you're full out trying to push the car. So yeah, that was my experience at Skip Barber. Totally recommend it if you just want a cool racing experience, because it is expensive, I will say that. But I think that the value learned, if you're trying to get into racing and road course racing, it was worth it 100%. I would do it again. I'm planning on doing the 2-day next year to get my competition license. So thank you guys so much for supporting us and supporting our dirt racing and supporting everything we do with this channel. We've had a lot of positive comments, positive feedback. We're always trying to make this better experience for the viewers, because we're just doing what we love, and we are glad that y'all are joining us along for the ride. So with that being said, I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you later.